Drax, the UK's largest biomass power plant, is getting billions in publicly funded subsidies to burn wood pellets for so-called zero-carbon renewable energy, even though Drax emits more carbon pollution now than when it was burning coal. The BBC programme Panorama showed that Drax's pellet operations are logging irreplaceable and carbon-rich wild forests of British Columbia to make wood pellets that go up the smokestack in the UK. That's upset a lot of people, including certain members of the House of Lords.
The idea that cutting down trees in North America and California, turning them into pellets, then dragging them across the Atlantic Ocean using diesel-powered ships, then shipping it across the country and then burning it at Drax is somehow saving the planet is mad.
But as Lord Hunt, the government's Minister for Energy Security and Net Zero, has assured them, despite a recent £25 million fine for shoddy record-keeping, Drax's forest destruction is all perfectly acceptable under the UK's biomass rules.
The issue before us today is about data information, and clearly Ofgem found that Drax were not complying with the requirements, hence the redress payment. But they did not find that Drax were not complying with sustainability criteria.
If this kind of forest destruction is allowed under the UK's supposedly strict biomass sustainability criteria, and this, then it's clearly time to reform the criteria to disqualify trees as an eligible fuel. The government should also stop misrepresenting the science about the true climate impacts of burning trees and end its shameful gaslighting of people who speak the truth.
At the moment, every single energy bill payer in Britain pays Drax for renewable energy. It isn't renewable, it actually emits 12 million tonnes a year. And the government knows this and chooses to allow international regulations to cover that up.
Well, my lords, I don't recognise what the Nobel Baroness says. It is true, of course, Drax is an emitter of carbon, because that is offsetted, netted off by the new forestry growth that takes place and absorbs the carbon. My lords, this is not a fanciful notion by the government. The International Energy Authority, the IPCC, the Committee on Climate Change, all of them accept that biomass in that way, as long as sustainability criteria are applied and accepted, is a low-carbon renewable energy.
But in fact, this is exactly what it is, a fanciful notion by the government. The IPCC does not consider the burning of forest biomass to be low carbon at all, and Lord Hunt is badly misrepresenting what the IPCC says. The minister can't even keep a straight face as he makes the ludicrous claim that burning trees is good for the climate.
My lords, I realise that it sometimes sounds counterintuitive. But the point is, nonetheless, that the carbon emitted during the supply chain process and in the process at Drax and places like Drax are netted off by the growth in forestry which absorbs the carbon. My lords, this is a well-accepted international approach. It produces at Drax 2.6 gigawatts.
The minister's claim about carbon emissions being netted off is magical thinking. Trees don't regrow overnight. Members of Parliament who are serious about saving forests and the climate should end subsidies to Drax and other power plants that burn trees. They should ensure that renewable energy actually reduces carbon pollution instead of increasing it. Reform the UK's biomass rules. No more subsidies for burning trees.